Welcome to this talk on integrated management and the Universal Management System Standard MSS 1000. My name is Ian Dalling and I currently chair the Integrated Management Community, IMC. It is an independent body with the objective of promoting the theory and practice of integrated management and integrated management systems, which have the advantages of delivering better, quicker, and cheaper outcomes. If we are going to manage our way to a better future, we need an expanded and more interconnected concept and practice of governance and management. We need management arrangements that manage the totality of an organization to make it happen. MSS 1000 is a universal management system standard, a one-stop solution applicable to all types of organization. It manages the totality of the organization, including its supply and delivery chains, and creates ethical, green, profitable outcomes. It took an international team of experts 3 years to develop the standard. It is a disruptive innovation that can change the way we manage organizations. It is key to addressing the major threats impacting organizations, humankind, and the planet. In combination with artificial intelligence and automation, it is likely to completely transform current management structures and processes, a much needed, timely management revolution. The talk will be in 3 parts. Part 1 will be an overview of integrated management, including its formal definition and how sustainability naturally emerges from it. We will also look at the weaknesses of the proliferating fragmented ISO management system standards and why these are preventing much needed progress. Part 2 will explain the principal features and benefits of the Universal Management System Standard MSS 1000. And finally, Part 3 will suggest how future management could evolve and how a combination of integrated management, artificial intelligence, and automation could significantly accelerate change, completely transforming the conduct of management as we currently know it. With Part 1, we will cover the historical context and evolving concept and application of integrated management, the motivation to integrate management, the definition of integrated management, and how sustainability naturally emerges from it without needing to be separately defined, how taxonomy delivers order from chaos, management standards stability, avoiding bungee standards, and also how many management system standards are needed, 1 or infinity. To help get integrated management and fragmented management in perspective, it is useful to view a timeline of key events since the 1970s. It is a story of opposing concepts, fragmented reductionism, be joined up management thinking, integrated management. BS 5750 was published in 1979 and was the first quality management system standard applicable to industry as a whole. ISO 9001 was published in 1987, building on the success of BS 5750. It extended the reach of quality management systems to an international audience. Interestingly, ISO 9001 replaced the multi-part BS 5750 and was an act of integration, but ISO was not to repeat this. ISO 14001 was published in 1996, adding an ISO Environmental Management System standard to ISO 9001, rather than broadening the scope of ISO 9001. It was the start of fragmenting management system standards. The structure of the two ISO standards were completely different and difficult for organizations to compare and reconcile. It also spawned multiple parallel certification processes. In the same year, and as a reaction to the new situation, an integrated management special interest group was created within the Chartered Quality Institute to provide advice on ISO 9001 and ISO 14001 simultaneous compliance. In 2002, the Integrated Management Community, acting then as a CQI-SIG, formally defined integrated management. It was stakeholder-centric, in contrast to the classic customer-centric quality management. Integrated management's objective is to equitably satisfy stakeholders while making the best use of resources. A proliferation of fragmented management system standards were then published by ISO and continues today. In addition to the difficulty of coping with multiple management system standards, they are periodically reinvented and new versions published. This leads to personnel retraining, management systems updating, and recertification processes. This causes frustration, stress, ineffectiveness, inefficiency, and reduced profit. Before 2000, integrated management systems existed, but were rare. After 2000, they were gradually adopted by UK organisations, driven by top management. It was not driven by external influences such as standards, certification, or professional bodies, or consultants, who appeared to have difficulty escaping from silo thinking. In 2011, Order from Chaos was published in Quality World, describing a complete hierarchical management topic taxonomy. It also invited experts to participate in the creation of a single universal management system standard, which many management professionals thought were impossible. ISO started receiving a lot of negative feedback from organizations because of its fragmented standards, particularly because there was no uniformity in their structure. To counter this, ISO published ISO Annex SL in 2012, prescribing how ISO management system standards should be written. It included a high-level structure, management topic taxonomy, including identical core text, common terms, and core definitions. In practice, this has been shown to be ill-conceived and incomplete. Each standard had required an appendix for the leftovers that didn't fit the taxonomy. Following 3 years of development, the Universal Management System Standard MSS 1000 was published in 2014 and has remained essentially unchanged to the present day and is free to download. This will be described in part 2 of this talk. Future management will be addressed in part 3. I'll give you an example of how rapidly management systems thinking has evolved since 2000, from a time when many thought that integrated management systems were not possible, let alone advantageous. Before 2000, separate quality, environment, health and safety standards existed, although not yet within ISO. The model on the left was being suggested to ISO in the late 1990s. Not unreasonably, it involved a common core standard with subordinate specialist standards. As we know, it was not adopted by ISO, and it moved forward with an independent silo model. Despite this, early in the new millennium, partial and fully integrated management systems were gradually being adopted by progressive organizations. It was organizations that took the lead in management thinking, and drove the adoption of integrated management systems. Today, integrated management systems are the norm in the UK. This is confirmed by surveys and research. There is no evidence of reverting to multiple management systems. Tensions between ISO thinking and integrated business thinking have persisted to the current times, sustained by a global entrenched certification industry. ISO continued to publish fragmented management system standards. So what is the motivation to adopt integrated management? It is a strategic decision led by top management, acting as the controlling mind of the organization. The motivation and business case for a joined-up thinking approach to overall management is the need for goods and services to be better, quicker, and cheaper, to equitably satisfy stakeholders while making the best use of resources, to be competitive and profitable, to facilitate creativity, innovation, and productivity, and to create and retain value in all its forms. Management system standards inform and influence management systems, which in turn direct and guide behavior, which determines the performance of organizations as judged by its stakeholders. MSS 1000 is based on the principle of integrated management defined in 2002 by the Integrated Management Community, IMC. And there are also 20 plus additional universal management system principles which can be viewed on the IMC website. Integrated management was formally defined by the IMC in 2002 as making the best use of resources to equitably satisfy stakeholder needs, expectations, and aspirations. Integrated management requires that the organization dynamically remains in alignment with the stakeholders' evolving needs, expectations, and aspirations. This is achieved through Plan, Do, Check, Act management processes. Stakeholders can be internal and external, or both, and exist in principle anywhere in space-time. Because stakeholders can be global and as yet unborn, sustainability naturally emerges from the definition of integrated management. It is not necessary to separately define sustainability. Management systems need to be both functional and aesthetically agreeable to meet the needs of the various stakeholders. The challenge is to know how best to arrange the various management topics. To create order from chaos, each hook in the cloakroom needs to be part of a universal holistic system with a logical label, a place for everything and everything in its place. A logical hierarchy also facilitates management controls being minimalistically defined in an orderly array. Such configurations are technically known as taxonomy and are the key to creating optimally designed management systems and standards. A good hierarchical taxonomy enables strategic, tactical, and operational management controls to be functionally and elegantly defined to minimalistically, optimally simplify nested families of elements. The topic taxonomies need to be comprehensive and boundless, a place for everything with no leftovers, simple and logical to understand and use, universal and facilitate fully integrated management systems, hierarchical, facilitating nested families and collective management controls. MSS 1000 adopted a 12-element hierarchical management topic taxonomy, providing a logical place for every management issue commonly covered in management system standards. This taxonomy had previously been published in Quality World in April 2011, titled Order from Chaos. In contrast, ISO Annex SL is therefore an ill-conceived taxonomy because it does not meet the needs of integrated management desired by organizations. It does not provide a logical place for everything and requires annexes for leftovers. It is not clear whether the many ISO management system standards appear to have built-in obsolescence by design or through lack of competence. They can be likened to a row of bungees that every time they come up, they are different to when they went down. And of course, every upward stroke opens opportunities for generating more income. It's not so much not right first time, but cash every time. Technically speaking, these ISO standards are unstable, bogusly suggesting that the laws of management change over space and time. This cannot be the case to justify the standards being applicable to all types and sizes of organization globally. Unstable bungee management system standards don't add value, waste management resources, time and money, hinder joined-up thinking, creativity and innovation, and contain unnecessary built-in obsolescence. In one organization and one integrated management system, how many management system standards do we need? The publication of MSS 1000, which we will look at in the next part of this talk, exploded the myth that single universal management system standards were impossible to create and implement. Given the drawbacks and apparent zero advantages of multiple fragmented silo-based ISO management system standards, what is the justification for their continued proliferation and maintenance? We will end part one of this talk with a quote from Niccolo Machiavelli, or to suggest that universal laws of management do pervade space and time. It must be remembered that there is nothing more difficult to plan, more doubtful of success, nor more dangerous to manage than a new system. For the initiator has the enmity of all who would profit by the preservation of the old institution, and merely lukewarm defenders in those who gain by the new ones. My own view and experience is that management success critically depends on the level of consciousness of all of the actors. Let us now get into part two of the talk, focusing on the anatomy of MSS 1000. It will include its features and benefits, its general structure and aids to navigation, the taxonomy adopted to create order from potential chaos, how it can inform and enhance observation and reporting, its alternative qualitative and numeric scoring options, and finally, how it addresses prospect and risk, likely upsides and downsides. Organizations are very complicated, with a large number of diverse interacting elements. We can make up arrangements on the hoof, or we can direct and guide behavior with a management system. Management systems comprise the hard and soft rules needed to direct and guide the organization's behavior. MSS 1000 has been carefully designed to do this in an optimal and minimalist way. In essence, it empowers the business to create and retain value while equitably satisfying stakeholders. In so doing, it promotes ethical, green, and profitable business. MSS 1000 contains many novel features not commonly observed in management system standards. These will be highlighted without going into detail to provide a general overview. MSS 1000 contains both requirements and guidance addressing the totality of an organization's management requirements, and is a one-stop management system standard with incorporated guidance, all within a single document. It uses the language of business and the legal fraternity so that it is readily comprehensible by all levels of management and educated people. It contains a unified set of management system definitions and concepts that transcend siloed disciplines. It is free and readily downloadable from the web. It can be accessed anywhere by anyone without commercial barriers of any kind. It may be universally applied to manage all aspects of an organization. It has no boundaries that are encountered in fragmented standards that address only a partial aspect of an organization's performance. Because it is universal, it has no specific management discipline focus. It does this by being truly structure and process focused, rather than focusing on an isolated fragment of performance. It therefore transcends disciplines. It promotes integrated management professionals by empowering them to take the lead in promoting and implementing fully integrated management systems without boundaries. MSS 1000 may be used to assess performance qualitatively, like other common standards and classic auditing. It may also be used quantitatively, using a built-in methodology to provide numerical measures of compliance. This helps track maturity and facilitates benchmarking. An organization can become compliant at bronze, silver, and gold levels, which broadly correspond to the organization having effective and efficient structures and processes, being additionally ethical, and at the highest level also being socially responsible. Self-certification is only permitted for bronze compliance. MSS 1000 covers overt and covert arrangements. The standard aligns with stakeholders' needs and aspirations by assisting in the creation of fully integrated management systems, which surveys suggest are becoming the norm. The Integrated Management Community sponsored research in 2012 showed that 4 out of 5 UK organisations surveyed already had or were intending to have an integrated management system. The document is readily navigable via extensive internal hyperlinking and bookmarking. All definitions are visible in the text and can be readily checked. It is possible to instantly flip between requirements and the corresponding guidance. MSS 1000 can also be interfaced with an integrated management system, permitting its requirements and guidance to be seamlessly accessed. The structure that has been extensively tried and tested within fully integrated management systems. The structure aids organizations in structuring their management control procedures if they wish. Only 12 management procedures are required to manage the totality of an organization. A universal management system standard provides choice in the marketplace. MSS 1000 acts as a basis for others to learn from and to produce further innovatory requirements or improvements. The requirements and guidance within MSS 1000 can greatly assist management system software producers who up to now have had to make sense and take account of multiple management system standards. The standard takes a very practical and pragmatic approach to management because the development was informed by actual fully integrated management systems that had achieved multiple standards certification by accredited certification bodies. Operating with a single standard facilitates simpler and potentially more streamlined certification processes, which are better, quicker, and cheaper. In the past, it has often been debated as to whether a single universal management system standard was possible, let alone practicable. This standard, by its example, dispels these myths and encouraging more open-minded objective research into universal standards. Looking now at the structure of MSS 1000, we can see that it had 5 main sections containing requirements and associated guidance. They are numbered A to E, comprising Introduction, General Requirements, Specific Requirements, General Requirements Guidance, and Specific Requirements Guidance. Additional sections includes a hierarchical universal set of definitions, an index, and appendices providing related resources such as prospect and risk matrices. Each requirement clause has a corresponding linked guidance clause with the ability to toggle between the two via internal hyperlinks. All critical words throughout the text are hyperlinked to the definitions. The standard is highly navigable via its table of contents, index, cross-references, and its hierarchical taxonomy, which we will take a closer look at. The MSS 1000 12-element hierarchical taxonomy structures its detailed specific requirements and corresponding advice contained in sections C and E respectively. This taxonomy received a lot of attention during the planning and development of MSS 1000 and is critical to its functionality and sophistication. It may also be used to structure any management standard, regulation, license, etc., and is a powerful comparative tool. The MSS 1000 taxonomy structure may be directly carried over into the structure of an organization's own management system. We will now look at the architecture of sections C and E of the standard in more detail. It contains 12 principal management topics spanning the conventional Plan, Do, Check, Act management cycle. Plan contains 1 element, Do contains 8 elements, Check contains 2 elements, and Act contains 1 element. Each of these main elements contain a hierarchical nested structure of sub-elements, allowing the observer to drill down to any required level of detail. Looking at the second column, management controls specific to personnel, commerce, matter and energy, and suppliers are individually defined. In the third column, the collective interaction controls are defined for 3 dynamic modes, normal product and service delivery processes, contingency processes for when normal processes fail or cannot cope, and temporary and permanent change processes. In the fourth column, reactive investigation and planned monitoring are addressed. Finally, review and action is addressed, completing the plan, do, check, act cycle. 12 principal elements and the finer elements in the subordinate levels of the hierarchy direct and guide the organization's behavior. It is a structure of the organization's internal law created by the controlling mind or minds of the organization. Compliance is when the behavior of the organization aligns with the rules defined in its management system. Any aspect of the organization's dynamics is subject to all the rules simultaneously. An experienced auditor is adept at recognizing various patterns of non-compliance. The logical taxonomy creates recognizable, orderly patterns to make this easier. It is one of the reasons why management system standards need to be stable, like MSS 1000. Let us now look at the scope of each of the 12 elements, 1 through to 12. Element 1 is analysis and synthesis. It defines the first principle of development and assessment of controls. It covers the planning structures and processes which precede the do elements. It includes such activities as foundation planning, strategic planning, formulating policy, identifying relevant legislation, and the conduct of prospect and risk assessment. Element 2 is personnel, covering the complete life cycles of maintaining and nurturing competent people to meet the needs of the organization. Element 3 is commerce, covering trading and contractual relationships with internal and external stakeholders. Element 4 is data, covering the control of data in all of its various forms and controlling its impact on stakeholders. Element 5 is matter and energy, covering their management in all their various forms, including infrastructure, goods, etc. It should not be forgotten that energy and matter are just two forms of the same thing and closely interact. Element 6 is suppliers, covering the use of external people, organizations, and other assets. It also naturally draws on elements 2 to 5. Element 7 is delivery of normal structures and processes. It is called normal structures and processes in the standard, but the diagram uses the shortened title delivery. Covers the structures and processes made up of the 5 previous elements 2 to 6 in delivering goods and services that fulfill the organization's purpose. Element 8 is contingencies and covers the structures and processes that are required to be deployed when the normal structures and processes fail or cannot cope, or when the organization is required to react to a sudden change from its internal or external operating environment. Contingencies typically include emergency response, crisis management, disaster recovery, business continuity, etc. The goal of contingency processes is to minimize risk and maximize prospect following an event, and to attempt to restore the organization's normal structures and processes as soon as practicable. Element 9 is change. This addresses all types of temporary and permanent change that needs to be managed within the organization. Change typically includes corrective and preventive actions, strategic and tactical change, operational structure and process change, project change, management system change. The change element covers the process of changing any of the 12 elements contained within the standard. Element 10, reactive investigation, covers the investigation of events in order to learn from their negative and positive aspects. This may result in corrective and preventive actions. It is looking back at what has happened and may cover events both within and outside of the organization. Element 11 is planned monitoring. This covers the monitoring of the organization's structures and processes, including suppliers and customers, etc., attempting to optimize the various aspects of future performance. That is, to maximize prospect and risk by ensuring that all planned management controls have been implemented and are working effectively and efficiently. Planned monitoring makes use of audits, inspections, surveys, and benchmarking, etc. Planned monitoring may be internal or externally applied to other organizations, or received by the organization when conducted by third parties. Element 12 is review and action and is the final element, and the objective is to appraise and judge the functionality and performance of the organization, its management, and the various elements of the management system individually and holistically. Additionally, it agrees actions to ensure that the organization stays aligned with its stakeholders' needs and expectations, fulfills its strategic plan and objectives, makes the best use of resources, and continually improves. By completing the management cycle, review and action forms the final element of the plan, do, check, act management cycles and facilitates continual learning, continual improvement, continual realignment with stakeholder expectations by creating a closed loop of management control. It must attempt to objectively take account of all available data, giving weight to evidence, and resist making decisions based on a reaction to a single event, which may not be statistically significant. MSS 1000 provides a choice of numeric and qualitative scoring. The latter is the classic non-conformity and observation audit approach to standards clauses. However, the numeric scoring is much more powerful and empowers personnel at all levels of the organization and stakeholders in general to observe the strengths and weaknesses of the organization and where improvement needs to be prioritized. The MSS 1000 numerical scoring classification uses the same 12-element hierarchical management topic taxonomy that structures its requirements and guidance. Within an overall view of performance, any aspect can be drilled down to the required level of detail. It should be noted that a strength in one area will not compensate for a weakness in another. Many organizations have failed because of this. Bronze, silver, and gold certification can be awarded depending on compliance with the required clauses and overall level of numeric scoring. Self-certification is only permitted at the bronze level. This slide shows the relative sizes of the requirements sections 1 through to 12. The first one is the generic requirements. You'll notice that the largest section relates to personnel. It may not be surprising, as it deals with people issues, which are at the core of all management and the principal root of organisation success. Other large sections are analysis and synthesis, commerce, data, matter and energy, and contingency planning. Moderate-sized sections are normal delivery processes, reactive investigation, planned monitoring, and review and action requirements. The smallest sections are the generic, suppliers, and change requirements. Prospect and risk management is at the heart of MSS 1000 and a major contributor to its power. Balancing the upsides and downsides under uncertainty is the biggest challenge that confronts any organisation or government. MSS 1000 manages this in a systematic, integrated way, avoiding non-holistic, suboptimal outcomes. This completes part 2 of this talk. We will now speculate on how integrated management and MSS 1000 can potentially change the future of management. It will cover using MSS 1000 to simplify management and boost an organization's performance while retaining existing ISO certifications. Directly embedding of MSS 1000 into management computer platforms, together with artificial intelligence and automation. And finally, how the opportune combination of integrated management, MSS 1000, artificial intelligence, and automation could revolutionize the future conduct of management and significantly change everyone's role, irrespective of how they are involved in management. MSS 1000 can be used to boost management performance, even if it is desired to retain ISO or any other type of certification or external requirement, such as a regulatory license. MSS 1000 can be used to inform the creation of a full stakeholder-focused integrated management system without boundaries that transcends disciplines. Empowers streamlining of internal and supplier audits, inspections, surveys, investigations, and any other type of proactive or reactive monitoring. Allows streamlined certification, creating better return on management resources investment. Facilitates consolidation and simplification of education and training, improving competence more quickly and more cheaply. We tend to see only what we look for. Unless directed or trained, we tend to observe different organization characteristics, which is typical of auditors who focus on a single fragmented ISO management standard. MSS 1000 helps cultivate the mind to observe and interpret holistically. We can be empowered to not only observe all the elements of the big picture, but the interconnections, their purpose, and the overall group dynamics. Together with the raising of consciousness of the observer, the structure of MSS 1000 supports the mind in making orderly sense of the organization rather than seeing it as chaotic. This diagram illustrates the concept of IT-assisted management. It shows the various principal elements and process involved in an integrated management computer platform, including the organization's management system, organization data and its processing, MSS 1000 is embedded with language interfaces. Key features include role, task-centric, tailored interfaces that facilitate individual and team interaction and are foreign language friendly. Optimal human and non-human partnerships that leverage the strengths of both and promotes efficiency and effectiveness. Integrated management computer platform that provides organization data and processing, management tools, plan, do, check, act facility, self-certification, assets and status, and foreign language interface. Embedded MSS 1000 that provides requirements taxonomy, requirements and associated guidance, unified definitions and concepts, synonym conversion to a standard unified management language, and anomaly checking reports. Are all the ingredients now emerging for a management revolution, driven by the need for outcomes to be better, quicker, and cheaper? Considering the monumental challenges of the current times, it seems highly credible that a combination of integrated management, AI, automation, and MSS 1000 will cause a major disruptive event in the evolution of management, and that all actors directly or indirectly contributing to management processes will be transformed. It's difficult to predict how long the current dissatisfaction with fragmented management system standards will persist before major change is precipitated by technological advances, including AI and automation. We can envisage a time of AI-assisted management beyond the current ISO fragmented standards, multiple certifications, and the slow plan, do, check, act management cycles which delay feedback essential to improvement. Imagine a time with a virtual management guru companion that monitors and guides our behavior in real time. Think of it as a dedicated and loyal super personal assistant advising on optimal decision making, stakeholder impacts, and advising on the potential to violate organization and regulatory rules. It's more than just a one-click away system. It is a benevolent, real-time intelligence constantly working to constructively optimize objectives. Such an advance would not only make management processes better, quicker, and cheaper in the wealthier large organizations, but extend right down to the huge number of small and micro organizations that currently cannot afford expert management support. That completes part 3 on the likely future of management, and also the end of my talk on integrated management and MSS 1000. I hope you have found it informative and that it has provoked food for thought on the future of management. We live in very challenging and potentially disruptive times. Some believe we are primed for a major transition in management thinking and practice. What do you think? Free valuable integrated management resources are available on the IMC website for anyone pursuing a joined-up thinking approach to management. That includes downloading MSS 1000 and deploying it in any form needed, including embedding it in computer applications. The integrated management community is open for anyone to participate in, and all its resources are free to access and use. The only requirement is that the source is acknowledged. You're also very welcome to join the IMC on LinkedIn.